Hello world, welcome to Event Log, a weekly bite-sized vlog where we cover the latest happenings in tech within 4 segments, not 8, 4, sponsored by TeamLogic IT, North San Antonio, your local IT provider, nationwide experience, and brainpower. Alright, as we all know, of the 4 segments, the first is always, perhaps, Tech This Out. In this segment of Tech This Out, we transition. What does 1 gigabyte of mobile data cost in every country? This one is interesting because I thought that more or less we were all reaching parity as far as we were all paying in cell phone data, but apparently not. Apparently you can have up to $30 per 1 gigabyte in these 3 countries, Benin, Malawi, and Chad, which is on the lower range of 20. Ridiculous regardless. The reason being, at least from what I'm understanding, it's because the networks are not yet developed as robustly as the ones that we enjoy in America and in other countries. Also, perhaps because there are very few companies that offer the service, and when you run into, a few companies, you run into the term monopoly, every capitalist's favorite board game. So there is then, we drop down to between 15 and ultimately 0, with India surprisingly being the cheapest. And the reason being there, they say it's because there are many companies that are battling it out for, market share capacity or market share. And I guess you're going to have lower prices there. Interesting that America is around $8 when India, you wonder who, the real capitalists and free market, evangelists are. And there's quite the disparity between the US and India. Very interesting. So the least expensive, Israel, Kyrgyzstan, Italy, Ukraine, and India. Very, very interesting. So yeah, for y'all's information, if you want the cheapest phone internet service, you can find that in India. Alright, segment number 2 in Hack Attack, we've got, this one was a bit sad, because it's affecting a school. This is a 0-day vulnerability found in an unsupported school management software. So this is the tragedy with open source software. We all love the idea of open source software, the most famous being Linux. I believe Python is open source. Okay, I might be showing here. I want to say Python is open source, but that is a language, not a software. And the idea behind open source software is that the more people that contribute to this free project, the more likely it's going to be usable throughout the world. But the problem with open source software, in what this Fedina school management found here, that, or rather, let me see, I don't think the name of the school was Fedina, but this school management software has been found to have a lot of gaps and holes in it in terms of vulnerabilities, and whatever schools are doing their best to minimize costs and use open source software like this leave themselves open to attacks and hacks and all the headaches that come with that. Most importantly, all of their students and staff having all their data being, fished out and sold to the highest bidder. So that's always a tragedy. Always sad to see open source software be found to have vulnerabilities, but in the defense, of open source software, this one really had little to no support. So there was very few people working on it, if any. So if you are going to attach yourself to an open source software and use anything that is open source, make sure that it has a heavy and a deep developer pool. So a lot of people that are working on it, a lot of people committing to the project. Otherwise, you're going to end up with vulnerabilities like these that are either never found or found too late, and you get hit. So yeah, open source project, make sure it's heavily backed by many devs. On to segment 3. I believe I renamed this one to Millibyte. Okay, that one makes more sense. The third segment, Millibyte, today we're covering a little dose of interesting fact in the tech world, and that's phantom vibration syndrome. So, you know that feeling when you're walking around town or you're walking within your house because, COVID for a while. Regardless of where you're walking, you'll feel a certain vibration in your pants pocket or your purse or whatever. You're like, ooh, that's my phone, I gotta pick it up. Well, apparently that's a thing that most humans that have been conditioned with a cell phone or a smartphone at this point all feel. Apparently this happens daily. Apparently a lot of the studies show that most humans feel this at least once a day, where you believe your phone was ringing, whether it was a text or an actual phone call, and you try, you reach for it and you pick it up, you're like, oh, I guess I might have just imagined or dreamt that. Other words for it, interestingly, are ringxiety, false alarm, which is spelled actually Faux, interesting, and phantom. So, the mix of the words phone and phantom. Very interesting. So, that is not, I want to say you are special, but you're not unique in that one feeling that you have when you think your phone is ringing, but it's actually not. Just a false alarm. I really like that one. As for segment 4, and if you hear any meowing, I'm sorry, the cat, she has been fed, I swear. I don't know why she's acting up. But anyway, segment 4, your crypto corner. This is an article by the New York Times. I will share this in the comment description, or in the comments rather, of this post. But apparently the world's largest Bitcoin conference happened this last weekend. Would have loved to have gone myself, but these things can be very expensive. I mean, they apparently these Bitcoiners love to party. I wouldn't know, but apparently you had quite the talent and quite the speaker pool that showed up to this thing. I'm gonna call out a few of them here. So you had the Winklevi twins. They were the famous twins that invested in Facebook when it first started and later sued. What's his name? Mark. I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. Anyway, Zuckerberg. There you go. Jack Dorsey, CEO of Twitter, former Congressman Ron Paul, and MicroStrategy CEO Michael Saylor are among the speakers. Oh, even Tony Hawk, the pro skater, decided to hop on stage and talk a little bit about his experience with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So as y'all can tell, this one is a little bit out there. A conference dedicated to Bitcoin. Why does it matter? Well, Bitcoin is only 12 years old, and these conferences tend to be a lot about the people that are very much into the technology coming all together, networking, and potentially unraveling or developing new and world-changing either companies or technologies that either further spread Bitcoin out into the world or just make it more user-friendly, usable, stable, and scalable. So, I did bring up Taproot, which was a development, an improvement to Bitcoin that is likely going to go live. I'll cover it next week as far as how we're looking in terms of the activation. That's going to be great. This conference is mainly Bitcoin. I'm sure they cover a few other things like NFTs and your other cryptos, but honestly, the majority of the talks are Bitcoin. And as far as anyone investing, this is not investment advice. Why it's mainly Bitcoin? Well, these people believe that Bitcoin is, for all intents and purposes, the main cryptocurrency worth investing in. Everything else is more of an experimentation, a living and breathing experiment. Less so than Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been here much longer, and it is the baseline that everything else is kind of built on top of, using the ideas and the foundation that Bitcoin has built to build their own projects. So, and for what it's worth, Bitcoin is the most decentralized. Anyway, that is it for today. That is our 4 segments of, I was about to say check this out. No, that's segment 1. This is Event Log with Andy Gonzalez. Remember, we are sponsored by Team Logic IT. I'll put a link on the comments. Thank you, and see you all next week. Bye.